I just want the tattooed monk to be good. That's all I want, please. No, I do not think this iteration fixes it. Yes, we're going to go over it. Yes, we'll go over the other UA classes. We are once again back with the Unearthed Arcana Arcane subclasses, albeit this time without the my granddad was really hench sorcerer subclass, which I believe was in the last one. So we're gonna do a review of it, and yes, my opinions on the monk is that it's still not what it should be. I will discuss these things when we get to the monk. You can suffer along as I do. I've zoomed in because it makes it easier to read, hopefully for everyone watching as well as for me. So, as ever, this is a playtest material, which means it could change. We also don't know what book this is going to be in. There is a Lorwyn book coming at some point, which is an MTG setting. It would be cool to see those there, maybe, but we'll see. Anyway, first is the Arcane Archer Fighter. I'm not going to go over the flavor text of these things this time. I did that in the last video, which will be somewhere down in the description. They have changed Curving Shot, Magical Ammunition, Ever Ready Shot, Arcane Bursts, and Masterful Shots. So let us go. Let's see, level 3, you get Arcane Archer Lore. You learn either the Druidcraft or the Prestidigitation cantrip. There's no reason why you wouldn't take Prestidigitation. It is the correct choice. Skills. You gain proficiency in Arcana and Nature. If you already have one of these, you can gain proficiency in something else, which is cool, or 2 others. If that's good stuff, we love that. Love to see it. Level 3, Arcane Shot options. You get 2 shots, and you can learn an additional shot at level 7, 10, 15, and 8. Each time you learn a new shot, you can also replace one of the old ones with a different one. That's fine. So you end up with, let's see, 6 of these, right? Which isn't bad. And using these once per turn when you make a ranged attack using a weapon with the ammunition property. This means it can be a gun still, which I do still like. You can apply one of your Arcane Shot options to that attack. You decide to use the option when you hit a creature and deal damage to it, unless the option doesn't involve an attack roll. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of 1, and you gain all uses on a short or long rest. Regaining them on a short rest is very good, and it's important that you're able to do that. This is your key feature. If you cannot do this, you do not have a subclass. So, good. And then it has stuff about Arcane Shot die, and blah 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 blah. Their die goes up to D8 at level 10, D10 at level 15, D12 at level 18, but that's fine. Let's see. Level 7, we get Curving Shot. You learn how to direct an errant shot toward a new target. If you make an attack roll with a weapon with the ammunition property and miss, you can cause this shot to ricochet towards a new target as a bonus action. The new target must be a creature you can see within the weapon's range and within 60 feet of the attack's original target. I really like this as a feature. That's not going to change. It's good stuff. I like the whole, curving bullets or arrows or whatever else, however else you want to make that work. Level 7, we also get magical ammunition. As a magic action, you can imbue a piece of non-magical ammunition with one of the following magical properties and fire it at a solid surface you can see within the weapon's range. On a hit, the ammunition's effect activates and the ammunition attaches itself to the surface. It hit for the duration of the effect. When it ends, the ammunition is destroyed. You can do this once per short or long rest, and you can also reuse it if you expend a use of your second wind. No action required, so that's good. Basically, you can make an area of darkness, which is cool. We love magical darkness. It's only a 15 for emanation, which really isn't much, but it's better than nothing. Unlocking shot, you basically can unlock stuff magically, which is cool. It fills a 15-foot emanation, but the noise is loud enough that it can be heard up to 300 feet away. So it's good for stealth, but it's not good for stealth. And then Vine Shot, a 60-foot long vine grows from the ammunition. You and other creatures can climb it. The vine withers away from 10 minutes. I really like that this has roleplay built into the subclass. Fighters need that, so do barbarians. It's good stuff. Level 10, Ever Ready Shot. When you roll initiative, you can regain 1 expended use of Arcane Shot. It's fine. It really is only fine. I think all of those ones where you regain like a single use of something at the beginning of combat are just fine. They could be both half, equal to proficiency bonus, whatever it is, right? But they could always be more, I think, and I think it would still be balanced. Level 15, you can push creatures away from you with your Arcane Mastery when you use Indomitable, which is your, no, I've saved that actually, feature. Each creature of your choice within a 10-foot emanation originating from you must succeed in a strength save or be pushed up to 20 feet straight away from you. That's pretty fun. Super niche, though. Because most of the time, if you're being targeted with something that you need to use Indomitable on, you're going to be surrounded by your allies or you're being targeted by a ranged mage. So I don't know how useful that actually is. It'd be better if you could take a reaction to kind of fire it back at the person who shot you or something. And then at level 18, you get Masterful Shot. You employ agility in your sharpshooting. When a creature you can see misses with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to move up to half your speed away from the attacker without provoking opportunity attacks. You can then attack them once as part of the reaction, which is cool. I like that a lot, although that does feel real light at level 18. I appreciate you're getting other stuff as you go up because of this. You're getting obviously new shot options at level 18 as well, and your dice goes up, so maybe that's fine. Your arcane shot options are more or less the same as they were before, which is fine, so I'm not going to go over all of them. You can banish a thing, you can charm a thing, you can explode a thing, you can make a thing weaker. The damage goes up as your arcane die goes up, which is good. I don't dislike it. I think it's a lot better than it was the first time around, obviously. I still think, like I said, the ever-ready shot thing is just a bit underwhelming. But you're also a fighter. You're still a fighter at the end of the day, and fighters are so good in D&D these days. Anyway, that's that. Let us suffer. The Tattooed Monk, for those of you that remember the first iteration, had a range of different options at different levels that you could choose from, and you would get spells based on those. My assumption, and I assume other people's assumption regarding this class, was that this was intended to be the third caster class of monks, which we do not have. My assumption for the reason we do not have this is because the idea of managing spell slots and focus point is so scary, which is preposterous. It's utterly preposterous that that's the case. There are loads of subclasses that add more things into the main class, which you have to manage. Sorcerers, wizards, druids have wild shape and spell slots, and third-party classes add a bunch of other stuff onto that. If you're a moon druid, you can also do specific spells while you're wild shape, but not all of them. Not to mention at level 10 you get a teleport as well, and you get additional attack on your first damage roll of the thing. Most classes are fine to manage extra stuff as part of their class. A spellcasting monk is not going to ruin the game, and because D&D Beyond does not allow you to add spellcasting to a class that does not have one, there is currently no way to brew home a spellcasting monk on D&D Beyond without going through a substantial amount of effort. That being said, I do not think the Tattooed Monk should be a spellcaster. I do not think that is part of the power fantasy. Personally, in my head, and I'm assuming in other people's head, this is closer to the specific fantasy of the idea of it, but I still think it falls short. So, this is before I've even gone through the class here. I feel really passionately about the Tattooed Monk for some reason. I just can't figure out why, you know? Maybe it's because I've spent most of my life doing martial arts and I'm covered in tattoos. Just in case the hint was too subtle. I'm fine. Right. At level 3, you get magic tattoos. You gain magical tattoos described by other features of this subclass. The tattoos appear in your body wherever you wish. Damage or injury does not impair your magic tattoo's function. It can look like whatever you want it to look like. And its effect, spell save DC, is 8 plus your wisdom modifier plus your proficiency bonus. Your spellcasting ability for the spells granted by the tattoo is wisdom. When you finish a long rest, you can reshape one of your magic tattoos to a different option. That is good. I still like that. The ability to shape your tattoos is really helpful. I think it's very important to be able to change up things like this and not be locked into it for the entire time, because what if you get an item that changes the playstyle you want to go with, or anything like that. So, level 3, you get your beast tattoos. You get 2 of these. Bat gives you the dancing light cantrip, and it gives you a blind sight within 10 feet. Butterfly gives you the light cantrip, and when you high jump, you can use your dex instead of your strength. Crane gives you the guidance cantrip. When you miss an attack granted by your flurry of blows, you have advantage on your next attack before the end of your next turn. That's not bad. Horse gives you the message cantrip, and when you expend a focus point to use your Step of the Wind, you get extra speed. Love that. That plays very heavily into what monks can do, and the message cantrip is very strong in roleplay. And Tortoise gives you the Spare the Dying cantrip, and when you expend 1 focus point to use Patient Defense, you have +1 bonus AC until the start of your next turn. I like this, to be perfectly honest. I think Butterfly is really weak compared to the others. Blind Sight can be really, really good if you're playing in a party where it's using Fog Cloud or things like that. And the Fairy, it gives you Dancing Lights, which isn't the most broken thing, but it can be handy. Light is, and again, it can be handy, but it's meh. Guidance is fantastic. I think the best choices here most likely are Guidance, because Guidance is a fantastic cantrip, and also advantage on your next strike is really useful. And then either Horse if you're playing a runny around monk, or the Tortoise if you're playing a stand still and get hit monk. Or not get hit, hopefully. Being able to choose 2 of those is good. I don't think it would be broken to be able to add another one of those as you leveled up, to be perfectly honest. But hey, what do I know? Level 6, you get your Celestial Tattoo. These are all roleplay focused, which I don't dislike. You only get 1 of these, by the way. You get Comet. When you take the search action, you can expend 1 focus point to roll your martial arts die and add the number rolled to your wisdom check. And then Eclipse does the same with the hide action and your stealth checks, and Sunburst does the same with your study action and your intelligence checks. I think they're all pretty cool. I think it's not going to feel great at level 6 though, to be perfectly honest. Monks are a lot better than and the progression feels better than it can do, but having this as something that is only affecting your out of combat stuff instead of as part of, let's say, the level 3 feature, having these tattoos kind of woven into the ones at level 3, I don't think would break anything. Being able to spend a focus point to add a martial arts dice to some of your checks as part of those first ones, I think would be perfectly fine. I think it's a lot, obviously level 3, and maybe you want to swap some of the stuff out, but yeah, I think as a level 6 feature, the feature itself is cool. The fact that it's your entire level 6 feature, I don't think is that wonderful. And I appreciate, I was just talking about the roleplay stuff that the fighter gets and how cool that is, but that's because that has function outside of just looking at stuff. This is different. Level 11, you get a nature tattoo. You either get Sea Storm or Volcano. Sea Storm, basically both of these give you a resistance to a type of damage. Sea Storm is cold, lightning or thunder, and then Volcano is acid, fire or poison. You can change these whenever you do finish a short or long rest, or when you use your uncanny metabolism. Obviously you can switch between these as you long rest as well, which is cool, and I like them as a thing. Gaining resistance to one damage type is good. Being able to switch it on the fly with uncanny metabolism is also good. I think that's fine. Again though, the only thing that you've gotten so far from this entire subclass is a bit of utility from level 3, a bit of roleplay stuff, really, and exploration stuff from level 6, and then a singular damage resistance from level 17. You get your monster tattoo. You get one of these. Beholder, at the start of your turn, you can expend one focus point to gain a fly speed equal to your speed for 10 minutes. I believe this was 10 feet before, so this is a substantial improvement. While you have this fly speed, you can hover. Additionally, as a magic action, you can expend one focus point to fire 4 rays from your eyes. You can fire them at one target you see within 120 feet or at several. Make a ranged attack for each ray using your wisdom as your spellcasting ability. On a hit, the attack deals force damage equal to one roll of your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. I like that. That's good. Chromatic Dragon. You can replace one of your attacks with a breath, basically for one focus point. Acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. Dex save, otherwise 2 rolls of the martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. Not bad at all. This is very much a wisdom monk, which is perfectly fine. We've seen a few of those, and I like that. However, you do not get to use your wisdom as your attack as part of this class, even though that's something I do think would be perfectly fine to include, which means that you either have to suffer the damage and stuff from this stuff later on, albeit not much because it's just your modifier, or you have to suffer the chance to hit with these features, which again is not wonderful. And then displace a beast. When you expend a focus point to use flurry blows or step of the wind, you can expend one focus point to cast the mirror image spell as part of the bonus action. Troll, on each of your turns you regain hit points equal to 5 plus your wisdom modifier if you are bloodied and have at least 1 hit point. Any severed body part regrows after you finish a short or long rest. There are good ones from this feature and there are bad ones. The Beholder is cool, the Chromatic Dragon is cool, the Displacer Based is defensive. Monks don't need the defensive stuff. They have evasion already. You have deflect attacks already as well. So I don't think it needs it. And the Troll it's interesting. If you've lost a body part, at least you can change this on a long rest to the Troll one and then kind of get it back and change back. I just don't think this goes far enough, ultimately. I think that this is closer to what it could be. I do not think they go far enough. I think the level 3, 6, and 11 features are all pretty underwhelming. I would like to see more from these tattoos. It would be cool if the bat gave you a find familiar in a bat or something along those lines. It would be cool if the level 6 feature did something more than just made you slightly better at looking for things or hiding. The resistance, having one resistance you can change isn't bad, but it's also not great when you compare to any of the other things that give creatures resistance. It's just a bit mid. And then while I do like 2 of the level 17 features, the other 2 are deeply underwhelming. Not to mention the fact that, yeah, I want it to be better. There's a version of this class in which you can magically shift through your tattoos as part of your special abilities, right? As part of your like Step of the Wind or things like that. There's a version of this class, of this subclass, where the tattoos you take deeply change the playstyle and the build that you might want to take. So maybe there's a level 3 one that lets you attack with your wisdom modifier. Maybe there's a level 3 one which increases your range of melee attacks. Maybe there's a level 3 one which lets you hover in between turns. There's a way in which this can be more customizable and you get an almost Warlock-esque vibe in terms of the level of customization possible. And I think they're getting closer to it. I do not think this goes far enough. I also really want a spellcasting monk. I just do. And I think it's rough that we don't have one, and I don't understand why it's so complicated, because it shouldn't be. Just give them all the touch range spells and be done with it. Boom. You can expend focus points as part of your flurry of blows to cast one of the X following spells. You can expend 1 focus point per spell level. Something like that. Doesn't have to be complicated, right? Anyway, let's get through the wizard ones. The wizard updates are all pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with all of them. I think most people generally are. It seems like they've understood what the people actually wanted the classes for. It's very funny that they didn't get that initially. I think generally the design in the UA kind of hits the nail on the head for a lot of the power fantasies, and for some reason, outside of the Arcane Archer, I feel like the first iteration of this just didn't hit, and I guess the Sorcerer, they obviously thought the Sorcerer was fine. Or they've completely done away with it. We'll find out. So the Conjurer's before was basically just teleportation. This time you get Benign Transposition. As a bonus action, you teleport yourself up to 30 feet away. Alternatively, you can choose a space within range that's occupied by a medium or smaller creature, and you can swap places. You can do this a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and you gain all uses on a long rest. You also get the Savant thing, which is the same for all of the classes. I will go over this one, and it is the same for the other wizard classes. Choose 2 wizard spells for the Conjuration School, each of which must be no higher than level 2, and add them to your spellbook for free. In addition, when you gain access to a new level of spell slots in this class, you can add 1 wizard spell from the Conjuration School to your spellbook for free. The chosen spells must be of a level for which you have spell slots. That is the same for all of them, and is the standard for these wizard subclasses that just focus on a single magic school. I think it's boring, but I get it. Level 6, you get Distant Transposition. The range of your Benign Transposition feature extends to 60 feet. Additionally, you gain all uses on a short or long rest. I think that's very solid. You also get Durable Summons when you cast a Conjuration spell to summon or create a creature using a spell slot. That creature gains 10 health equal to twice your wizard level when it first appears. While it has these hit points, the creature has resistance to every type except for Force, Necrotic, Psychic, or Radiant. I think that's solid. Level 10, you can no longer lose concentration on your Conjuration spells, which is good. And level 14, which is the capstone, when you cast Summon Aberration, Summon Construct, Summon Dragon, Summon Elemental, or Summon Fae using a spell slot, you can modify the spell to summon 2 creatures with the spell instead of 1. Each creature is of the same kind, uses the same stat block and rules noted by the spell, and manifests in a different unoccupied spot, of your choice within the spell's range. But the creatures have half the hit points. If you lose concentration on the spell, which you can't do because you can't lose concentration on your Conjuration spells, well, damage can't break it, you can still go unconscious. Both creatures disappear. You can do this once per long rest, or you can regain a use using a level 5 spell slot. I think that's really cool. I do think calling out the specific spells instead of just saying when you cast a spell that summons a creature means that this isn't necessarily compatible with any third-party summons that there might be. That is easily fixed by DMs, as we are wont to do, but I also think putting more stuff on DMs is needless when you could simply state that. However, there's obviously spells that I'm not aware of that they're thinking of where maybe this would break it. So I think in aiming for better clarity, you've ended up with a more restrictive version of it. Yeah. Overall, much better take on it. Enchanter. The level 3 ability is Enchanting Conversationalist. You gain proficiency in Deception, Intimidation, or Persuasion. When you make an ability check with the chosen skill, you gain a bonus equal to your Intelligence modifier. Intelligently deceiving or persuading someone is really cool. Same with intimidating someone. Love it. You also get Hypnotic Presence. Your charming words and enchanting gaze can enthrall another creature. As a magic action, you choose 1 creature that you can see within 10 feet of yourself. If the target can see or hear you, it must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, or have the charmed condition for a minute or until your concentration ends. The target is no more than 10 feet away from you, the target can neither see nor hear you, or the target takes damage. While it is charmed in this way, it has the incapacity condition and a speed of 0. You can do this once per long rest or restore it with a level 1 spell slot. That seems solid, honestly. Very cool. Level 6, you get Split Enchantment. If you target 1 creature with an enchantment spell, it gives you twin spell, basically. You can do this another time equal to your Intelligence modifier and regain all uses when you finish a long rest. Useful, you get to upcast a spell. Never a bad thing. Right, Haste. We love Haste. Can Haste be upcast to target multiple creatures? I can't remember. I'm blanking. I have not cast Haste in a long time. Level 10, Instinctive Charm. When a creature within 30 feet of you that you can see hits you with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to force the attacker to make a Wisdom save. On a failed save, the attack misses, and if there is another creature within range, the attacker targets that creature instead using the same attack roll. If multiple creatures are within the attack's range, you can choose which one to target. You can do this once per long rest, or you can restore your use of it by casting an enchantment spell with a spell slot. That's really cool. I love that it comes back every time you cast an enchantment spell, because it's just a lovely bit of synergy. We love a bit of subclass synergy. And then level 14, you can reliably enchant creatures and alter their memories. You always have the modify memory spell, prepared, and when you cast a spell, you can target a second creature if it is within range. Having something which is generally a roleplay spell as your capstone is a bit mid, but overall it's still a substantial improvement. Necromancer. I read there's a post on D&D Beyond about how they didn't realise that what people wanted from the Necromancer was to summon a bunch of zombies and skeletons, and of the classes they missed the mark on, the subclasses they missed the mark on, that is the most perplexing one to me, because that's what everybody wants from a Necromancer as far as I'm aware. They're like, necrotic life leechy stuff is secondary, right? To look at my horde of skeletons, surely. But hey, Necromancy Savant, as we've said, you also get your Necromancy Spellbook. You gain resistance to necrotic damage. When you cast a Necromancy spell using a spell slot, you can choose an undead creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself to regain hit points equal to the level of the spell slot plus your wizard level. And if you cast Find Familiar, you can also choose a skeleton or a zombie. That's all good stuff. Like, immediate flavour. Just immediate flavour. What a win of a subclass feature that is. Fantastic stuff. Level 6, you get Grave Power. While holding your spellbook, you also, when you use Arcane Recovery, your exhaustion level, if any, decreases by 1, and damage from your wizard spells and wizard features ignores resistance to necrotic damage. Solid stuff. That's not all you get at level 6, though, which is wild, because that's all the other ones get at level 6. Also at level 6, you always have the Animate Dead spell prepared, and you can cast it once without expending a spell slot. When you start casting the spell, you can modify it so the spell's effective level is increased by 1. So not only do you get it for free, you can also upcast it for free. In addition, when you cast a necromancy spell using a spell slot that creates or summons an undead, the undead gains the benefits below. The undead's hit point maximum and current hit points increase by a number equal to the level of the spell slot plus your int mod for the duration of the spell, and whenever the undead hits a creature with an attack roll, the undead deals extra necrotic damage equal to your intelligence modifier. Again, just fantastic. Level 10, Harvest Undead. You've learned more secrets about the nuances of life and death. Immediately after you become bloodied but aren't killed outright from taking damage, you can take a reaction to reduce an undead creature under your control you can see to 0 hit points, and you gain hit points equal to your wizard level. Cool. And then level 14, you get Death's Master. Abstruse rituals within your spellbook allow you mastery over forces of death. While holding your spellbook, you gain the following benefits. This is really just an upgrade to your level 3 feature. As a bonus action, choose any number of undead you've created or summoned with a necromancy spell within 60 feet of you. Those undead each gain temporary hit points equal to your wizard level. Once an undead gains temporary hit points with this feature, it can't do so again the next 24 hours. That is fine, as you can do that to a bunch of creatures at once, so that's pretty solid. And Extinguish Undead. When an undead creature you see is reduced to 0 hit points, you can cause it to explode. Roll a number of d6s equal to half the creature's unexpended hit die, round up a minimum of 1d6, and add them together. Each creature in a 10-foot emanation must make a dex save or take damage equal to the number rolled and can't take reaction until the start of its next turn. On a successful save, it takes half damage only. When you use this feature to explode an undead you don't control, which is cool, you must take a reaction and expend a level 5 spell slot to do so. The Necromancer is really the clear winner from this subclass upgrade, I think, personally. That's just fits the fantasy perfectly, and that's the main thing. Finally, we have the Transmuter Wizard, which is your Philosopher's Stone class, basically. When you finish a long rest, you can create a magic stone that lasts until you use this feature again. It's a tiny object, and you can use it as spellcasting focus. A creature with the stone in its possession gave proficiency in the Constitution saving throws, and one of the following benefits, which you choose when you create it. You can also change the benefit by using a spell slot. The creature can gain dark vision of 60 feet, or increase it by 60 feet. It gains an extra 10 feet of speed, or it gains resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder. That's cool. At level 3, you also get Wondrous Alteration. You always have the Alter Self spell prepared, and you can cast it once without expending a spell slot. You regain this ability on a long rest. While under the effects of Alter Self, you gain an additional benefit for each of its options. While underwater, you can take the dash action as a bonus action. You have advantage on deception checks, and you can get natural weapons, which do 2d6 of the damage type associated with the growth. You also have advantage on con saves to maintain the concentration spell. Very cool. At level 6, you get Empowered Transmutation. When you cast a transmutation spell that doesn't deal damage, such as fly or magical weapon, using a spell slot, you can treat the spell as if it was one level higher. Cool. A number of times equal to int mod, and you gain all uses in a long rest. Level 10, you get Potent Stone. You can choose up to 2 benefits when you create it. You can choose each option other than resistance only once. If you choose resistance twice, you can do 2 different damage types. You can change either or both benefits when you cast a transmutation spell using a spell slot. In addition, the following are now among your benefit options for Transmuter Stone. You get Mighty Build, so advantage on strength saving throws, and also one size larger when determining carrying capacity, and tremor sense of 30 feet. Level 10, you also get Shape Changer. You always have the polymorph spell prepared. You can cast it once without a spell slot. You get that back on a long rest. In addition, when you target yourself with a spell, you can modify it to gain the below benefits. Once you modify the spell using this feature, you can't do it again until you finish a long rest. Game statistics. You retain your personality, memories, and ability to speak. You also retain your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores, class features, languages, and feats. So you wild shape, basically, instead of polymorph. And then transmute spells. You can cast transmutation spells while shapeshifted, except for any spell with a material component that has a cost or is consumed by the spell. Right, so you get both of those. That's cool. I mean, you can still be in it. Being a T-Rex that can cast spells is just funny to me. So that's solid. Level 14, Master Transmuter. While you carry your Transmuter Stone, you can take a magic action to consume the reserve of transmutation magic stored inside and choose one of the following benefits. After you do this, the stone crumbles to dust. You can prevent the stone crumbling by spending a level 5 or above spell slot as part of the magic action you take using this feature. You can do Major Transformation. You can transmute one non-magical object no larger than a 10-foot cube or 8 connected 5-foot cubes into another non-magical object of a similar size, mass, and of equal or lesser value. You must spend 10 minutes handling the object to transform it. Panacea. You touch a creature as part of this magic action, and the target regains hit points equal to half its hit point maximum. The target is cured of all magical contagions, and any curses affecting the target are lifted, including the target's attunement to a cursed item. If the target has been poisoned or petrified, those conditions end. Restore Life. You can cast the Raise Dead spell without expending a spell slot. Very cool. And Restore Youth. You touch one willing creature as part of this magic action, and the target's exhaustion level, if any, decreases to 0, and it permanently appears 3d10 years younger to a minimum of young adulthood. It appears younger, it does not become younger, right? Like, given how that's worded. Yeah, that seems solid too. Honestly, the only one I have issue with is the monk. I really like monks. I really, really like monks. My highest level PC is a monk. Like, in a game I'm playing, it's a level 17 Astral Self monk. Like, subclasses bananas. I just want this one to be better. Overall, though, I think this is a really solid update. I think that, for the most part, everything is substantially improved over the previous iteration of all of these things. I think the wizard subclasses are all hitting their mark a lot more. I think the fighter feels a lot stronger, and the monk is better technically. But man, just give me a spellcasting monk that can cast spells that isn't linked to tattoos, or if you're going to go down that route, commit to it properly and give them spell slots, right? Also make the things more interesting. It's a monk. Do cool monk stuff. I don't know. Give you a Hydra tattoo that lets you take an extra reaction. Give a Thrakreen tattoo that lets you hold more weapons. Just make it more interesting, please. Please, I'm begging you, if you're going to do a tattooed monk, make it cool. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Unearthed Arcana. I hope we find out what book these are likely to be in soon, and I hope that the finalised version of the monk is better. I do think the wizard classes are all pretty spot on, though, and the Arcane Archer definitely feels a lot more worthwhile than it did in the previous iteration as well, which is good. So that's that. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. I'm getting pretty close to 1,000 subscribers, and that's a big deal for a YouTuber. Share with your friends. Be like, this guy has really strong opinions on tattooed monks for some reason, or, you know, other selling points. But yes, in the meantime, do take care. Goodbye.